Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's dive into today's heartwarming story. Now, let's see what happens next. It was a cold morning in New York, and Emma's mind was still reeling from the night before. She had left the restaurant in a whirlwind of embarrassment, but there was something she couldn't shake off. Something about Kevin. No, Liam, she corrected herself, kept lingering in her thoughts. As much as she tried to forget about the mix-up, his smile, the way he looked at her, and the ease with which they had connected haunted her. She sat on her couch that morning, staring out the window, the same cold light pouring through the blinds. It was hard to focus on anything else. The world outside felt so distant, so out of reach. She couldn't help but wonder, what if that conversation had meant something more? Emma wasn't used to being caught off guard like that. She was a waitress, after all, used to dealing with awkward situations and difficult customers. But with Liam, things had felt different. As she shook herself out of the thoughts, she glanced at her phone. A message popped up from Jenny. "Did you meet Kevin? How was it?" She sighed, knowing she had to respond. "Actually, I sat at the wrong table." She typed back quickly, her fingers hesitating before pressing send. Her phone buzzed seconds later. "Wait, what?" Jenny's response was immediate. Emma couldn't help but laugh despite herself. Jenny was always so dramatic. Emma leaned back against the couch, setting her phone aside. She had promised herself she wouldn't get caught up in something that had only been a mistake. But that smile of Liam's, no, Kevin's, still lingered. She knew she shouldn't think too much about it. After all, she had no business falling for a guy she'd just met, especially not someone she'd mistaken for someone else. But something about him, something in his eyes, it had felt real. The next day, Emma was back at the diner, working her usual shift, when the door chimed and a tall man walked in. He was impeccably dressed, in a tailored suit, with dark hair neatly combed to the side. Her heart skipped a beat as she looked up and saw him. Liam, or Kevin, whatever his name was. He walked toward the counter, his gaze scanning the room before locking with hers. She froze for a moment, unsure what to do. Her breath caught in her throat. He smiled, a little awkwardly, as if unsure how to start. "Hi, Emma," he said, his voice as calm and smooth as she remembered. She quickly gathered herself, brushing the hair out of her face. "Hi," she said, her voice coming out a little more strained than she intended. "I didn't expect to see you here," she added, trying to keep the conversation light. "I'm sorry for what happened last night," Liam said, his expression sincere. "I wanted to explain, but you left so quickly." Emma felt her face flush, and she shifted her weight nervously on her feet. "No, it's fine. Really, it was my mistake." She couldn't meet his gaze for long, afraid that her nerves would get the best of her. Liam seemed to hesitate before sitting down at the counter, glancing at the menu. "I know it was a mistake," he said, his voice soft. "But I couldn't stop thinking about you." Emma looked up at him, surprised by his honesty. "I didn't expect to feel like this about someone I just met, but here we are." Her heart raced in her chest as she tried to process his words. Was he serious? Or was he just being polite? After all, she was just a waitress, and he was clearly someone who belonged to a completely different world. "I don't know what to say," Emma murmured, feeling a mix of disbelief and confusion. "You don't have to say anything," Liam said with a reassuring smile. "I just wanted to be honest. I'm not here to make you feel uncomfortable. I felt a connection last night, and I wanted to see if we could get to know each other better." Emma bit her lip, trying to steady her nerves. She had no idea how to respond to that. It wasn't every day that a guy like Liam walked into her life. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more here, but at the same time, she was afraid to believe it. "I'm not looking for anything serious," she said quickly, trying to keep things clear. "I don't want to get your hopes up." Liam nodded, understanding. "I get it. No pressure." He reached for his wallet and pulled out a business card. "But if you ever want to talk, or if you want to grab a coffee sometime, I'm here." She took the card hesitantly, her fingers brushing against his as she did. For a brief moment, their eyes locked, and she felt something shift inside her. But just as quickly, the moment passed, and she smiled politely, tucking the card into her pocket. "Thanks," she said softly. As he left the diner, Emma stood still for a moment, her thoughts swirling. She didn't know what to make of it. Was this a sign? Or just another fleeting connection? She knew one thing for sure. Things had just gotten a lot more complicated. Let's see where this story goes next. It had been a few days since Emma had seen Liam, but she couldn't stop thinking about him. Her shift at the diner was just like any other, the smell of coffee and the clink of plates filling the air, but her mind kept drifting back to their conversation. That lingering glance, the way he had opened up to her about feeling a connection, something she wasn't used to. She hadn't expected him to act so real, especially after the awkward mix-up. Was he serious? Or was it all just part of a game? She had no idea. The truth was, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him than just the well-dressed businessman she had initially assumed. He wasn't just some rich guy who didn't care about anyone or anything. No, Liam seemed different. And that terrified her. "You look deep in thought," Jenny teased, sliding into the booth across from her. She was always good at reading Emma's mood. "What's going on?" Emma blinked, pulled from her thoughts, and forced a smile. "Just work stuff. Nothing to worry about." She shrugged it off, but Jenny wasn't convinced. "Right?" Jenny said, raising an eyebrow. "Is this about that guy you met at the restaurant? The one you thought was Kevin?" Emma winced at the mention of the mix-up, but Jenny just grinned. "So what happened? Did you go on that second date?" Emma bit her lip, a little unsure how to explain. "Well, no," she said slowly. "He came by the diner the other day. We talked for a bit." Jenny leaned forward, clearly interested. "And?" Emma hesitated, her mind spinning. "I don't know. He's different. There's something about him. He's not like the others." "So, you like him?" Jenny said, a knowing smile spreading across her face. Emma groaned, leaning back in her chair. "I don't know. I can't tell. It's complicated." "Well, if you like him, why not just give it a shot?" Jenny said with a shrug. "What's the worst that could happen?" Emma couldn't answer that. The worst that could happen? She already knew. It was the same thing that always happened. Getting hurt, getting disappointed. She had been down that road before, and it never ended well. That night, after her shift ended, Emma sat alone in her small apartment. She couldn't stop replaying her conversation with Liam in her mind. He had left her a business card, but she hadn't called him yet. What was she waiting for? She took a deep breath, staring at the card in her hand, and finally made up her mind. She needed to stop running from the possibility of something real. She picked up her phone and dialed the number on the card, her finger hovering over the call button for a moment before pressing it. The phone rang a few times before Liam answered, his voice warm and familiar. "Emma." "Hey, it's me," she said, feeling nervous but relieved at the same time. "I was wondering, if you're free, maybe we could grab that coffee sometime?" Liam's voice lit up with surprise, followed by a soft chuckle. "I thought you'd never ask." They made plans to meet the next afternoon at a quiet coffee shop not far from Emma's apartment. The whole time, Emma couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement mixed with anxiety. What if it was just another mistake? What if she was setting herself up for disappointment? She had no answers, but something about Liam made her want to find out. The next day, Emma arrived at the coffee shop a little early. She sat at a table near the window, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee, trying to calm her nerves. She had no idea what to expect, but she knew this was a step forward. A step towards something different, something that didn't feel like the same old routine. When Liam walked in, she couldn't help but smile. He looked just as good as she remembered, his dark hair a little messier, his suit still perfectly tailored. He spotted her almost immediately, his face lighting up when their eyes met. "Hey," he said, walking over to the table and sitting down across from her. "I'm glad you called." "I'm glad you're here," Emma replied, her heart beating a little faster than usual. They talked for hours, the conversation flowing effortlessly between them. Liam wasn't what she expected. He wasn't just a businessman. He was thoughtful, kind, and surprisingly down to earth. They laughed, shared stories, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was being seen. Not just as a waitress or someone who was struggling to make ends meet, but as someone who mattered. As the afternoon wore on, Emma realized something. This wasn't just a casual coffee date. She was starting to care about Liam. She wasn't sure what that meant yet, but she wasn't ready to run away from it this time. "You know," Liam said, his voice softer now, "I'm really glad we did this. I've been thinking a lot about you since our first meeting." Emma smiled, feeling her heart skip a beat. "Me too," she said quietly. "I think there's something here. Something real." And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like maybe, just maybe, this could be the start of something that was more than just a mistake. Let's see where this journey leads. The following week passed in a blur for Emma. Every time she thought about Liam, her heart fluttered. They had spent more time together since their coffee date, but it still felt surreal. She had never expected to form a real connection with someone like him, someone so different from her world. But Liam had proven her wrong. He was thoughtful, genuine, and his attention made her feel like she mattered. They went on more dates, shared stories, and laughed together. Yet, every time she looked at him, doubt crept in. Was this just a fluke? Or was there something deeper between them? One night, after a long shift at the diner, Emma returned to her small apartment, feeling exhausted but happy. As she dropped her bag on the couch, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Liam. "Hey, I have something I need to talk to you about. Can we meet tomorrow?" Her heart skipped a beat. Was he going to tell her that he wasn't looking for anything serious? Or worse, that he had been playing with her feelings all along? She quickly typed back, "Of course. See you tomorrow." The next day, Emma arrived at the small cafe where they had agreed to meet. Her nerves were on edge as she sat at a table near the window, glancing at her watch every few minutes. Was he running late? Did he change his mind? She could feel her stomach tightening with uncertainty. When Liam finally walked in, looking as calm and composed as always, Emma felt a rush of relief. But his expression was different today. There was something in his eyes, something that made her wonder if he was about to drop a bombshell. He walked over to the table and sat down, his eyes meeting hers with a soft smile. "Hey," he said quietly. "I'm really glad you came. I've been thinking a lot about us, about where we're heading." His voice was steady, but there was an undertone of uncertainty. Emma held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam took a deep breath, his gaze softening. "I know we started this whole thing in a weird way, and I didn't expect to feel the way I do. But the truth is, I've been falling for you, Emma. And I don't want to keep pretending that this is just some casual thing. I'm not playing with your emotions. I care about you." His words hit her like a wave, crashing over her in a mix of relief and fear. Could this really be happening? Was he serious? Emma felt her pulse quicken as the weight of his confession settled over her. She had known, deep down, that her feelings for Liam were real, but hearing him say it out loud made it all so much more real. For a moment, she struggled to find the right words. Was she ready for this? For something more than just a fling? I care about you too," she finally said, her voice trembling slightly. "But I don't know if I'm ready for something more. I've been hurt before, Liam. I've been let down by people who said they cared, and I don't know if I can handle that again." She looked down at her hands, unsure if she could trust herself to open up fully. Liam reached across the table and gently placed his hand over hers, his touch warm and reassuring. "I understand," he said softly, "but I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want a chance to show you that this is real, that I'm real." His words wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, and for the first time in a long while, Emma allowed herself to believe in the possibility of something beautiful. As they sat there, the world outside faded away. Emma realized that this was the moment. She could either shut herself off and walk away, or she could take a chance on love, on someone who truly cared. It wasn't going to be easy, but maybe, just maybe, it was worth it. "Let's take it slow," she said finally, her voice steady. "But I'm willing to try. I want to see where this goes." Liam smiled, a look of pure relief and happiness crossing his face. He nodded, squeezing her hand gently. "We'll take it slow," he agreed, his voice filled with warmth. "And no matter what happens, I'm glad we met. I'm glad I met you." Emma smiled back, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. For the first time in a long time, she was willing to let herself be vulnerable, to take a leap of faith. She wasn't sure where this journey would lead, but she was ready to find out. And with Liam by her side, she was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, love was real after all. Let's see where this story goes next. It had been a few weeks since Emma and Liam had decided to take things slow, but every day that passed, Emma found herself falling for him more and more. They spent their time exploring new places, having quiet dinners, and talking about everything: hopes, fears, dreams, and regrets. The connection they shared was undeniable, but Emma still had moments of doubt. She couldn't shake the fear that maybe this wasn't as real as it felt. Was she just another person in Liam's busy life? A casual fling to pass the time? Or was there something deeper? One evening, after a long day at the diner, Emma found herself thinking about Liam again. He had been so patient with her, never pushing her for more, always understanding. Still, she couldn't ignore the nagging feeling in the back of her mind. She needed to know where they stood. Was this just temporary for him, or was he really ready to be with her? She sat in her small apartment, the warm glow of the lamp casting shadows on the walls, and reached for her phone. A text message from Liam popped up. "Hey, are you free tomorrow? I was thinking we could go to the art gallery. I know you love it there." Emma smiled, her heart warming at the thought of Liam's attention to her interests. She quickly typed back, "That sounds perfect. I'd love that." Her fingers hovered over the phone for a moment, and then she added, "Liam, can we talk about something tomorrow? I just want to make sure we're on the same page." She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The response came a few minutes later. "Of course. We'll talk. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow." Emma sighed with relief, though her nerves were still on edge. She had no idea what the conversation would bring, but she knew it was time to finally address her concerns. The next afternoon, they met at the gallery, and as usual, Liam greeted her with a warm smile that made her heart skip a beat. They walked together through the exhibits, discussing their favorite pieces, and Emma found herself at ease in his presence. But despite the calm, a storm of thoughts churned inside her. She needed to ask him about their future. She needed to know if this was just a fleeting moment or if they were building something real. They stopped in front of a painting that caught her eye, and Liam turned to her. "What do you think?" he asked, his voice gentle. Emma looked at him, feeling the weight of the question she had been avoiding. She took a deep breath, then spoke. "Liam, I need to know what this is. What are we doing here? Are we just enjoying the moment, or is this something more for you?" Liam's expression softened, and he stepped a little closer to her, his eyes meeting hers with a sincerity that made her breath catch. "I understand why you're asking," he said, "and I know we've been taking things slow, but I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I care about you, Emma, more than I've cared about anyone in a long time. This isn't just a fling for me. I see a future with you, and I want to be with you, if you're ready for that." Emma's heart soared at his words, but the weight of her own doubts still lingered. "I want that too," she said softly, "but I'm scared. Scared of being hurt again, scared of letting someone in." She looked away, afraid that her vulnerability would push him away. Liam gently took her hand, his touch reassuring. "I know you're scared. I can see it in your eyes. But I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here for the long haul, Emma. I want to build something real with you. I'm ready, and I hope you are too." She looked up at him, the uncertainty that had been clouding her heart slowly lifting. Maybe it wasn't about waiting for the perfect moment. Maybe it was about trusting the connection they shared. Maybe, just maybe, she could take the leap. She smiled, her heart finally at peace. "I think I'm ready," she whispered, squeezing his hand. "Let's do this. Let's see where it goes." Liam's smile lit up his face as he pulled her into a gentle hug. "You won't regret this," he whispered into her ear. And in that moment, Emma knew he was right. She didn't have to have all the answers right now. All she had to do was trust him, and trust herself. As they stood there in the gallery, surrounded by art and the promise of a future neither of them had expected, Emma felt a sense of hope settle in her heart. For the first time in a long time, she was ready to open up completely, to take a chance on love. And with Liam by her side, she felt like anything was possible. Let's see where this journey leads. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Liam's relationship blossomed in a way that neither of them had expected. They spent more time together, and as each day passed, Emma found herself falling deeper into the connection they shared. They went on long walks through the city, shared quiet dinners at home, and spent lazy weekends together, just enjoying each other's company. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she had found something real, something she could hold on to. But even as the days grew brighter, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was looming over her. She was still afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of fully letting go and trusting Liam with her heart. It was a part of her that she couldn't seem to shake, no matter how much she tried to ignore it. And yet, every time Liam looked at her with those gentle eyes, every time he held her hand or whispered sweet words in her ear, she felt like maybe, just maybe, it was worth the risk. One evening, As they sat on the couch in her small apartment, sipping coffee and talking about their day, Liam turned to her with a serious expression on his face. Emma noticed the shift in his demeanor immediately. She set her cup down, sensing that something important was coming. "Emma," Liam said softly, his voice calm but filled with an intensity she hadn't expected. "There's something I need to tell you." Her heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" she asked, trying to read his face. "I've been offered a job," he said, his gaze unwavering. "A promotion, actually. It's a big deal, an opportunity to move up in the company. They want me to move to London and take on a bigger role. It's everything I've worked for." He paused for a moment, letting the words settle between them. "But here's the thing, Emma. I don't want to go without you. I want you to be a part of this with me. I want us to build a future together, no matter where we are." Emma felt a wave of emotions wash over her. On one hand, she was proud of Liam for getting such an incredible opportunity, but on the other hand, she felt a sharp pang of fear. London? That was far. That was a huge change. Could she really leave everything behind and start over in a new city? Could she leave her life in New York and be with him, in a place she'd never been? "Liam, she started, her voice trembling as she searched for the right words. "I don't know, London. It's a huge step. I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of change." Liam reached out, taking her hands in his. "I understand," he said softly. "I know it's a lot to think about, but I want you to know that no matter what you decide, I'm here. I want us to be together. If you're not ready to take that step yet, I will understand. But I also want you to know that I'm serious about us, Emma. I don't want to imagine my future without you in it." Emma's mind raced. She was scared. Scared of leaving behind everything she knew, scared of taking such a big leap. But then she thought about the way Liam made her feel, about how much he cared, about how much they had already built together. Could she really walk away from that? Could she turn down the chance to be with him, even if it meant stepping out of her comfort zone? She looked into his eyes, and for the first time, she saw the sincerity and love in them. She saw the future he was offering her, not just in London, but in every moment they could share together. Maybe this wasn't about being ready for everything. It was about trusting herself and trusting him. "I don't know what the future holds," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I know that I want to be with you. I want to build a future with you, Liam. I'm not sure about London, but I'm willing to try. I'm willing to take the chance." Liam's face lit up with a smile, and he pulled her into a tight embrace. "You don't know how happy that makes me," he whispered. "We'll figure it out together, one step at a time." As they sat there, wrapped in each other's arms, Emma realized that this was it, the moment where she chose to trust. Trust in Liam, trust in herself, and trust in the love they had. It wasn't about having all the answers. It was about taking the leap, together. They sat in silence for a moment, holding on to each other, both feeling the weight of the decision ahead of them. But at that moment, with Liam's arms around her, Emma knew that no matter where they went, as long as they were together, they could face anything. Let's see where this journey leads. In the days that followed, Emma and Liam found themselves navigating the uncertainty of their future together. They had decided to take the plunge, to move forward with their relationship, no matter what. Liam's promotion was still looming, but now, it wasn't just about a career. It was about the two of them figuring out how to make this work. Every night, they spent hours talking, laughing, and dreaming about what life could look like. But the closer they got to making a decision about moving to London, the more Emma's doubts resurfaced. She sat in their favorite cafe, the same one where they had shared so many memories, staring out the window as the city bustled around her. Liam sat across from her, watching her carefully. He could tell something was weighing on her mind, but he didn't want to push. She had been quiet for the past few days, her smile not as bright as usual. He knew the uncertainty was getting to her. "Emma," Liam said gently, breaking the silence. "I can see something's bothering you. Talk to me." She looked up at him, her heart heavy. "It's just, everything feels so big right now. London moving. It's all happening so fast. I've never left New York, Liam. Everything I know is here. My job, my friends, the life I've built. I'm scared. I don't know if I'm ready to leave all of that behind." Liam reached across the table and took her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "I get it," he said softly. "This is a big decision, but you don't have to make it alone. We'll figure it out together. I'm not asking you to jump into this blindly. We can take it slow. If moving is too much right now, that's okay. We can stay here and see where things go. Emma felt the tension in her chest start to ease. Liam's words, his calm presence, made her feel like maybe, just maybe, she could do this. She had always been afraid of taking risks, of stepping outside her comfort zone. But Liam was different. He wasn't asking her to follow him blindly. He was asking her to trust him, to trust in their love. And for the first time in a long time, she realized she wanted to trust him. You know, I've always been so scared of change, Emma admitted, her voice shaky. I thought I had to have everything figured out, that if I didn't, I'd lose control. But being with you, Liam, it's made me see things differently. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I don't want to be scared of it anymore. I want to take that leap with you, even if I don't know exactly where we're going. Liam's eyes softened as he squeezed her hand. You don't have to know everything right now. We don't have to have all the answers. We just have to take that first step. I'm here with you, every step of the way. Emma smiled, feeling a sense of peace settle over her. For the first time in a long while, she felt like maybe, just maybe, everything would be okay. She wasn't alone in this. And that thought, that reassurance, made all the difference. As they sat there, surrounded by the noise of the city, Emma realized something. Love wasn't about having everything figured out. It was about the trust, the commitment, the willingness to take a chance on each other. And with Liam by her side, she was ready to take that chance, no matter where it led. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, Emma was ready to embrace it, to take the next step. With Liam. Together. Let's see where this journey leads. Days passed, and with each one, Emma felt her connection with Liam growing stronger. They continued to spend time together, exploring New York, finding new places to enjoy, and talking late into the night about everything and nothing. But the question of London still loomed in the back of her mind, something they hadn't yet fully addressed. Liam had been patient, understanding her hesitation, giving her the time she needed to process everything. She appreciated his quiet support, but as the weeks went by, she knew they couldn't keep putting off the inevitable. It was a Saturday afternoon when Liam took Emma by surprise. They were sitting in the park, enjoying the cool breeze and the sound of children playing in the distance. Emma was resting her head on Liam's shoulder, her hand nestled in his. It felt so right, so easy, but the weight of the decision she had been avoiding still hung heavy on her heart. Emma, Liam said softly, his voice breaking the comfortable silence. We can keep waiting, but I think it's time to make a decision. London is calling, and I need to know if you're ready to take that step with me. She closed her eyes for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew this was coming, knew they couldn't keep going around in circles. The uncertainty was draining her, holding her back from fully embracing their future together. She took a deep breath, gathering the courage she had been building up for weeks. Liam, she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. I've been thinking about this nonstop, and I know I've been scared. I've been scared of leaving everything behind, of stepping into the unknown. But I've also realized something. I can't keep living in fear. I don't want to live in fear of change, of what might happen. I want to take that step with you. I'm ready. Liam's eyes softened, his lips curling into a smile that made Emma's heart swell. Are you sure? He asked, his voice full of warmth and tenderness. This is a big decision. I don't want you to feel pressured. I'm sure, she said, looking up at him, her eyes filled with a newfound sense of confidence. I don't have all the answers, and I can't promise it will be easy. But I know I want to do this with you. I want to build a life with you, no matter where that takes us. Liam reached for her hand, holding it tightly as he gazed at her with pure adoration. I can't tell you how happy that makes me, he said softly. You don't know how much it means to me that you're willing to take this leap with me. We'll figure it out together, every step of the way. They sat there for a while, their hands intertwined, both of them lost in the moment. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt completely at peace. She wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain. She was ready to face it with Liam by her side. As they stood up to leave the park, Emma's heart felt lighter than it had. In weeks, she had made a choice, and for the first time in a long time, she wasn't afraid of what was to come. She was ready to start this new chapter of her life, one that was full of possibilities and, most importantly, full of love. Let's see where this journey leads. The days leading up to their move were filled with a mixture of excitement and nerves. Emma had packed up her life, leaving behind the city she had called home for so long. She had said goodbye to friends, to her job, and to the familiar streets of New York. It was a huge leap, but it felt like the right one. With Liam by her side, she felt a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging that she hadn't felt in a long time. The morning they were leaving, Emma stood at the airport, her suitcase in hand, her heart racing. She couldn't deny the feeling of nervousness that still lingered inside her, but it was mixed with something else, hope. Hope for the future. Hope for the life they were about to build together. As they walked toward the gate, Liam took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Are you ready for this?" Liam asked, his voice filled with warmth. His eyes shone with the same excitement and nervousness that Emma was feeling. He had been her rock, her constant, and now, they were embarking on a new chapter together. Emma smiled, taking a deep breath. "I think I've been ready for this all along," she said softly. "I just needed to trust myself. And trust you." She looked up at him, her heart full of love. "I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever comes next." Liam smiled back at her, his hand still holding hers. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. We always will." They boarded the plane, and as the plane took off, Emma looked out the window, watching the city below shrink away. A wave of emotion washed over her. It wasn't goodbye, it was just the beginning of something new, something exciting. With Liam by her side, she knew they could conquer anything. They had already made it this far, and now, they were taking the biggest step of all. In the months that followed, life in London was everything and nothing like they had expected. They faced challenges, new jobs, new routines, new friends, but through it all, they had each other. Emma discovered a new sense of independence as she found her place in this new city, and Liam thrived in his new role. Together, they built a life that was more than just surviving, it was thriving. They supported each other, laughed together, and made a home in a city that once seemed so far away. As they stood together on the rooftop of their new apartment, watching the sun set over the city skyline, Liam wrapped his arm around Emma, pulling her close. "I never thought I'd end up here," he said softly. "But I wouldn't have it any other way." Emma looked up at him, a smile tugging at her lips. "Me neither," she replied. "This is just the beginning." And as they stood there, hand in hand, looking out over the city they now called home, they knew that no matter what came their way, they would face it together. They had already built something beautiful, and the rest of their journey was waiting for them. Let's see where this journey leads.